My name is SHAMBACH, and it's great to come your way again. The question I seek to answer today is, where was the Garden of Eden located? Where was the Garden of Eden located? We read in Genesis chapter 2, the verse 8, and the Lord God planted a garden eastward in Eden, and there he put the man whom he had formed. So every Christian knows about the story of Adam and Eve and where they lived in the Garden of Eden. They were the only ones privileged to live in the Garden of Eden. So the question sought to find out where this garden could be located here on earth. Now, around the 15th to the 18th century, a lot of efforts were made to discover the exact location of this garden. In fact, one man by name Christopher Columbus, the man who discovered North America, in his third voyage to the Americans, when he got to the southern mainland of America, he actually thought that he had discovered paradise, which is a garden in Eden. A lot of research, like I said, have been made to find out the exact location. But this is where I subscribe to a school of thought that the Garden of Eden was located. And that is somewhere around Iraq. Somewhere around Iraq at the head of the Persian Gulf. And what are the evidence for this claim? This claim is also highly argued by archaeologists like Joris Zarins. Now, we will find out that in this garden, 4 rivers were mentioned. Verse 10, now a river went out of Eden to water the garden. A river went up. The name of the first river is Pishon. You find this in verse 11. The name of the second river is Gihon. You find this in verse 18. The name of the third river is the river Tigris. And I read this one. The third branch is the Tigris, which flowed to the east of Assyria. The fourth branch is Euphrates. So there were 4 rivers that flowed into the Garden of Eden: Pishon, Gihon, Tigris, and Euphrates. Now, archaeologists and research have shown that 2 of these rivers have dried up. That is Pishon and Gihon. But 2 of the other rivers, that is Euphrates and Tigris, are still in existence. The question is, where are they located? They are located in the Middle East. Now, Tigris and Euphrates merge together in Iraq, and they flow into the Persian Gulf, or call it the Persian Ocean. So most archaeologists believe that the place where Tigris and Euphrates meet together to flow into the Persian Gulf could be the place where the Garden of Eden was located, because these rivers were mentioned in the garden, and these rivers are still visible and are located somewhere in Iraq. So if it's anything to go by, I am convinced with most archaeologists that that is the location of the Garden of Eden. Another archaeologist called British archaeologist called David Rowell locates it somewhere around Iran, around the vicinity of the Tabriz. But not much evidence is given to support that claim. But it will interest you to note that in Genesis chapter 3, the verse 22, God speaks about the tree of life. Genesis 6:22, and the Lord said, behold, the man has become like one of us, to know good and evil, lest he put his hand and take also the tree of life. So there were so many trees in the Garden of Eden. One was the tree of the knowledge of good and evil. The other was the tree of life. The question is, where is this tree of life? We find out in Revelation chapter 2 verse 7, in Revelation chapter 22 verse 14, that this tree of life will be in the new paradise, where we are going to spend eternity with Jesus. In fact, in Revelation 2 verse 7, Jesus assures that all who are able to endure and overcome will be given the right to eat the tree of life. Same promise is made in Revelation 22 verse 14. Revelation 22 verse 14. And let me read that one quickly. So, if this tree was on earth, but now this tree is going to be found in the new 22, the verse 14. And it reads, blessed are those who do his commands, that they may have the right to eat the tree of life. And this tree of life will be located in the paradise that will come in eternity when we are going to be with Jesus. So what happened to this tree that was on earth? Possibly God took this tree away. So some of the trees we can boldly say that may not be on earth, such as the tree of the knowledge of good and evil. But the garden was indeed on earth, and I agree with the suggestion that it could be located at the head of the Persian Gulf. The Persian Gulf is bordered by countries like Saudi Arabia, Qatar, the United Arab Emirates, Iraq, and then Iran. So I agree that where Tigris and Euphrates merge together somewhere around Iraq could be the possible location of the Garden of Eden. Thank you. Till I come your way again. Stay blessed.
I hope you've been blessed by this short podcast. You can equally send your questions to SHAMBACH through 055-252-7779, or to support or partner with SHAMBACH Ministries, you contact the same number. God bless you.